Hi, my friend. It's so nice to have you here. Let's slow down and enjoy this peaceful moment together before we start. Today, we are going to discover the extraordinary life of Xi Jinping, one of the most powerful leaders in the world. But his story did not begin with absolute power. It began with privilege, followed by a sudden and painful fall. Xi was born into a revolutionary family close to China's political elite. Then everything changed. His father lost power, his family suffered, and young Xi was sent far from Beijing to live and work in a poor rural village. So how did a boy pushed to the edge of the political system grow up to stand at its very center? And more importantly, what did those early years teach him about survival, loyalty, and power? Keep listening, because that lesson may explain almost everything that came later. Xi Jinping was born in Beijing in 1953. His father, Xi Jinping, was a veteran communist revolutionary and senior official, giving the family status and security few Chinese families enjoyed at the time. But that privileged world did not last. When Xi was still a child, his father was removed from power. The family lost its status, and during the Cultural Revolution, the pressure became even worse. A boy born near power was suddenly learning how quickly power could disappear. At just 15, Xi Jinping was sent far from Beijing to a poor village in Shanxi province. The change was brutal. He had once lived close to China's political elite. Now he slept in a cave, worked long days in the fields, carried heavy loads, and lived with hunger, cold, and almost no comfort. For 7 years, this became his world. At first, Xi struggled to adapt, but slowly something changed. He learned to work beside farmers, endure hardship, and survive without privilege. Years later, he would describe this period as one of the most important experiences of his life. The boy who arrived in the countryside was no longer protected by his family name. When Xi finally left the village, he was no longer the same teenager who had arrived there. What those 7 years taught him would become much clearer later. After everything his family had suffered, Xi Jinping made a surprising choice. He did not turn away from politics. He tried to join the Communist Party, but his family background made that difficult. His applications were rejected again and again. Still, Xi kept trying. Finally, in 1974, he was accepted into the party. Why would someone return to the same system that had once hurt his family? For Xi, staying outside power may have seemed more dangerous than entering it. After entering the Communist Party, Xi Jinping did not rush toward the top. Instead, he chose a slower path. After working in Beijing, he moved to the countryside again, this time as a young government official in Hebei province. To many people, leaving the capital for a poor county looked like a step backward. But Xi was thinking long-term. He understood that leaders in China were often expected to prove themselves at the local level. So he worked with farmers, visited villages, handled everyday problems, and built experience far from the spotlight. Later, he moved to Fujian, where his responsibilities continued to grow. This slow climb became one of his greatest advantages. While others competed for attention in Beijing, Xi spent years learning how the system worked from the bottom up. and one day that patience would help carry him all the way to the top. In Fujian, Xi Jinping spent years learning how economic growth and political power worked together. The province was opening to foreign investment, building businesses, and becoming more connected to the outside world. Xi supported development projects, improved infrastructure, and gained experience managing a rapidly changing economy. But Fujian taught him something else too. Growth alone was not enough. A successful official also had to maintain party trust, avoid political mistakes, and build strong relationships. That balance would shape his future. By 2002, Xi Jinping was sent to Zhejiang, one of China's richest and fastest-growing provinces. This was no longer a quiet rural assignment. It was a major test. In Zhejiang, Xi worked with private businesses, encouraged investment, and promoted economic growth while keeping close control over party discipline. The province performed strongly, and his reputation continued to rise. Then came another important step. In 2007, Xi was briefly sent to Shanghai after a major corruption scandal removed the city's previous leader. Only months later, something even bigger happened. Xi was promoted to the Communist Party's top leadership circle in Beijing. For years, he had climbed slowly through local positions. Now, almost suddenly, he was standing among the small group of people who could one day rule China. The long strategy was finally paying off. In 2012, Xi Jinping finally reached the top of China's political system. He became General Secretary of the Communist Party and soon after, President of China. At first, many observers expected him to be a careful, predictable leader. They were wrong. Within a short time, Xi began a massive anti-corruption campaign that would shake the party, remove powerful officials, and change the balance of power. The quiet politician had reached the summit. Now he was about to reshape it. Soon after taking power, Xi Jinping launched a huge anti-corruption campaign. He promised to punish both tigers and flies, powerful officials as well as lower-level ones. At first, many people saw it as a serious attempt to clean up the Communist Party. Then, the scale became shocking. Senior politicians, military officers, and influential officials were investigated, removed, or sent to prison. Some had once seemed almost untouchable. The campaign made Xi look tough on corruption, but it also changed the balance of power around him. One by one, powerful figures disappeared from the political stage. So, was this only about cleaning the system? Or was the campaign also changing the political balance in Xi's favor? The answer became clearer as more authority began to concentrate around one man. As Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign continued, something deeper was changing. More power began to gather around him. Xi took leading roles in key party, military, economic, and security bodies. His political ideas were promoted across government and education, while his image became increasingly central to China's leadership. This was no longer simply a new president taking office. The system itself was becoming more focused on one man. And soon, Xi would make a move that shocked the world. In 2018, Xi Jinping made one of the most controversial moves of his leadership. China changed its constitution and removed the two-term limit for the presidency. For decades, that limit had helped create a more predictable transfer of power between leaders. Now Xi could remain president beyond the usual 10 years. The decision shocked many observers. Supporters argued that China needed strong and stable leadership for long-term goals. Critics feared that too much power was being concentrated in one person. But the message was clear. Xi Jinping was no longer following the same path as recent Chinese leaders. He had already weakened rivals, strengthened his position, and placed his ideas at the center of the system. Now one question became impossible to ignore. How long did Xi Jinping plan to stay in power? Xi Jinping's ambition was bigger than simply staying in power. He wanted China to become stronger, richer, and more influential than ever before. He spoke often about the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, a future where China would stand at the center of global power. Under Xi, China expanded infrastructure, invested heavily in technology, strengthened its military, and launched the Belt and Road Initiative. But as China's influence grew, so did fear and resistance abroad. As China grew stronger, its relationship with the United States became more tense. Trade became a battlefield. Technology became another. Washington placed tariffs on Chinese goods, restricted access to advanced chips, and increased pressure on major Chinese technology companies. Beijing responded with its own measures and pushed harder to become less dependent on the West. Under Xi Jinping, China invested heavily in artificial intelligence, electric vehicles, telecommunications, space, and advanced manufacturing. The rivalry was no longer only about money. It was about who would shape the future. But there was one place where this competition could become far more dangerous than tariffs or technology bans. Just across the Taiwan Strait sat an island claimed by Beijing and supported by Washington. And there, the struggle between China and the United States could become a military crisis. Taiwan became one of the most dangerous points in Xi Jinping's relationship with the West. Beijing considers the island part of China and has never ruled out using force to achieve unification. Under Xi, military pressure around Taiwan increased, while the United States continued supporting Taiwan's defense. That created a dangerous question. What happens if neither side backs down? A crisis over Taiwan would not be only a regional conflict. It could pull the world's two most powerful countries into direct confrontation. Under Xi Jinping, technology became one of China's greatest strengths and one of its most powerful tools of control. China invested heavily in artificial intelligence, facial recognition, digital payments, robotics, and advanced surveillance. These technologies helped cities become faster, safer, and more connected. But they also gave the government new ways to watch society. Millions of cameras were installed across the country. Online activity was closely monitored, while the Great Firewall limited access to many foreign websites and platforms. For supporters, this system created order and security. For critics, it created something much more troubling: a society where technology could follow people almost everywhere. And then came the biggest test of all. When COVID-19 arrived, Xi's system of control would be pushed further than ever before. Then came a crisis no leader could fully control. In late 2019, COVID-19 emerged in Wuhan and soon spread across the world. China responded with strict lockdowns, mass testing, travel controls, and later the zero-COVID policy. At first, the strategy seemed effective at limiting infections. But over time, the cost grew heavier. Businesses suffered, daily life became more restricted, and public frustration increased. For Xi Jinping, COVID was no longer only a health crisis. It became a test of his entire system. By late 2022, frustration with zero COVID had reached a breaking point. After a deadly apartment fire in Urumqi, protests spread across several major Chinese cities. Many people held blank sheets of white paper, a simple symbol of everything they felt they could not openly say. The demonstrations were extraordinary. Public protests against national policy were rare, and in some places, people even criticized Xi Jinping directly. Then came the surprise. Within weeks, China rapidly abandoned much of its zero-COVID system. For a leader known for control and consistency, the reversal was striking. Was this proof that Xi could adapt when pressure became too strong? Or did it reveal something more important, that even a highly controlled political system still has limits? The answer would matter even more as China entered its next crisis. After decades of extraordinary growth, China's economy began to lose speed. The property market weakened. Major developers struggled with debt, and unfinished housing projects became a serious problem. At the same time, consumer confidence fell, and local governments faced growing financial pressure. For years, rapid growth had supported Xi Jinping's promise of national strength. Now that promise faced a harder test. Could China keep rising if the economic engine that powered its success was no longer running as fast? For years, young Chinese people were told that education, hard work, and patience would lead to a better future. But that promise began to feel less certain. Youth unemployment rose, competition for good jobs became intense, and many university graduates struggled to find work that matched their education. Some began questioning whether the old path to success still worked. This created a new challenge for Xi Jinping. A government can control institutions, information, and political opposition. But it is much harder to control how millions of young people feel about their own future. If hope begins to fade, frustration can grow quietly. And that leads to a deeper question. Can Xi keep China stable if the next generation no longer believes life will keep getting better? Even at the highest levels of power, no position seemed completely safe. Under Xi Jinping, several senior officials were suddenly removed from public view, investigated, or dismissed. Military leaders, ministers, and powerful political figures sometimes disappeared from the spotlight with little explanation at first. These moments created mystery inside and outside China. Were they simply corruption cases, or signs of deeper struggles within the system? One thing was clear: under Xi, power could rise quickly and disappear just as fast. Xi Jinping has made China stronger in many areas. The country has expanded its military, invested heavily in technology, and increased its influence around the world. But China also faces serious problems. Economic growth is slower. The population is aging. Young people worry about jobs. Tensions with the United States are rising, and the Taiwan question remains dangerous. Xi now holds more personal power than most recent Chinese leaders, which means China's future is closely tied to his decisions. If his strategy succeeds, he may be remembered as the leader who pushed China into a new era of global strength. But if the economy weakens or conflict grows, the same concentration of power could become his greatest risk. And that brings us back to the question from the very beginning. So what was the lesson hidden inside Xi Jinping's early life? Perhaps it was this: power can disappear faster than anyone expects. As a child, Xi watched his family fall from privilege into political disgrace. Years later, he returned to the same system, climbed through it, and eventually stood at the very top. That may help explain his patience, discipline, and determination to keep control. For Xi, power was never just something to gain. It was something that could never be taken for granted. Xi Jinping's story is still being written. Supporters see him as the leader who made China stronger, more confident, and more powerful on the world stage. Critics see something very different: a leader who concentrated too much authority, tightened political control, and reduced space for disagreement. Both views point to the same truth. Few modern leaders have changed China as deeply as Xi Jinping. His decisions will shape the country long after his time in office. From the economy and technology to Taiwan, global competition, and the lives of ordinary people. So how will history remember him? As the man who helped restore China's strength, or as the leader who pushed power too far? If you had to describe Xi Jinping in just one word, what would it be? Tell me your word in the comments. And if stories like this help you understand the world while improving your English, subscribe to Woven English and join us for the next one.